You're all familiar with the term trolling, right? It's where one person says or does something deliberately controversial or contrary with the express intention of getting a reaction from somebody else. It's a joke. Well, despite the fact that gamers have something of a reputation for being extremely vocal and not having a great sense of humor when it comes to games, some developers still like to have a joke at our expense. Now, I'm actually talking about games that deliberately troll their players, as opposed to games that are just really poorly designed and end up feeling like they're trolling you. So with that in mind, let's get into it. GTA 5 loves to troll its own players, absolutely loves it. On the serious end of the spectrum, there's the torture scene with Trevor, which stands out as a real sobering moment about halfway through the story. Until then though, Rockstar encourages you to have fun, to be a naughty virtual criminal, to laugh in the face of the law. Then, suddenly, all the humor disappears as you're forced to brutalize a man, with little or no explanation as to why.
Watch the knee!
On the other end of the trolling spectrum, there lies the submarine mission that asks you to collect 30 pieces of evidence from the seafloor to clear a stranger's reputation. It takes hours as the pieces are scattered all around Los Santos, and your reward, $10. Rockstar is clearly laughing at us and the very idea of random collectibles in games, and I, for one, freaking fell for it.
What exactly is wrong?
Oh, Kojima, how you tease us. Metal Gear Solid 2 was one of the most highly anticipated games on the PS2, and when it finally arrived, fans were delighted to be back in the boots of bearded badass Solid Snake. Or were they? Because after the prologue level, set on a tanker, which did indeed star Snake, the rest of the game forced everyone to play as New Boy Raiden.
This is Snake. Do you read me, ARKHAM?
Loud and clear, Snake.
Kept you waiting, huh? I'm at the sneak point.
Fans were understandably upset, especially considering they'd expected a full game with Snake following the prologue. Despite everything, Metal Gear Solid 2 is a great game in its own right, and we've since learned to love Raiden. But Kojima even trolled players in Metal Gear Solid 3. If you select the I like Metal Gear Solid 2 option, then before the halo jumping from the plane at the start of the game, Naked Snake wears the Rykov mask, which looks an awful lot like Raiden, to hide his identity from the crew. And, of course, to have a massive joke at our expense, too. Although Batman doesn't spend long trolling its players, the moments when it does are extremely well implemented. The first time you're infected with Scarecrow's gas, Arkham Asylum appears to crash and reboot itself, and it's only when you see Bat's role reversed with the Joker from the game's opening scenes that you truly realize that you're being played.
I don't like it.
Interestingly, the artifacting you see on screen is identical to what happens when your Xbox red rings. Ouch.
Welcome to the madhouse, Batman!
After that, you're kind of expecting all the Scarecrow elements, so they don't really count as trolling. What definitely does count as trolling, though, is the fact that Rocksteady hid a secret room within Arkham Asylum that contained blueprints for Arkham City, the subject of the next game. Sure, nobody found it, but Rocksteady did cleverly hide the identity of its next game within the asylum. Well played, folks. Well played. There's something about Eternal Darkness that you should know. Alongside the traditional health bar, you have a sanity meter. And after you get beaten down after witnessing too many of the game's scuttling nightmare creatures without performing cathartic execution kills, the sanity rating eventually causes your character to go bonkers. Blood starts dripping down walls, camera angles begin to skew, and the hit television series Lost finally becomes a worthwhile viewing experience. But at extreme levels, Eternal Darkness starts monkeying around with players in the real world. It starts pretending the TV has switched off. It simulates a deleted memory card. It will reduce or mute the sound output. The credits roll, followed by a teaser for Eternal Darkness 2, which will never exist, and whole sections of the game reset, turning out to have been hallucinations, often after putting you through a brutal, unwinnable fight. And then, later on, you will actually die after not taking certain tough fights seriously. In Eternal Darkness, it's hard to react accordingly because you're never entirely sure what you're reacting to. In a way, the game's cruel manipulations effectively make you troll yourself. It's a bit like the Joker in that respect, only with fewer whimsical purple shirts and more seething cosmic horror. When hardcore Diablo fans first heard that Diablo 3 would feature rainbows, there was an outcry. Beautiful rainbows in our very dark, very serious dungeon crawler? Not on my watch, Blizzard! In response to this rather knee-jerk reaction, Blizzard created and hid the world of Whimsyshire within Diablo 3. As the name suggests, Whimsyshire is a place of loveliness, a place of rainbows and teddy bears and unicorns, and getting into Whimsyshire is tough. You need to find the right items, so it's very much optional. Once there, though, you can butcher all the fluffy inhabitants at will. It's a very bold, very brightly colored middle finger from the developer to the player that says, "This is our game, buddy, and we'll do exactly what we want with it."
My personal view on the terrorists is that they are disgusting, degrading,
and generally nauseating. The worst of them is Dante.
Fan reaction to Dante's new look in Ninja Theory's reboot of Devil May Cry was, fierce. They fucking hated him. This hatred was further fueled when the game director told fans that he didn't think old Dante was cool or appealing.
Sweet.
Much credit to him, though. He stuck to his design for new Dante while other developers like Sucker Punch were redesigning their leads, Cole from Infamous 2, to pander to fan pressure. However, the director probably went a bit too far when he and his fellow developers created a scene in the game where Dante crashes through a fancy dress shop and ends up wearing a wig that makes him look like the old Dante.
Not in a million years.
Then, of course, he throws the wig away in disgust after seeing his reflection. First-class trolling for sure, but the relatively poor sales of DMC suggest that maybe Ninja Theory should probably have listened to the fans. This game, sadly, was never released. It was planned for the Saturn in 1995, but publisher Absolute Entertainment went bust before it could distribute the finished game.
Death move! Death move! Death move! Kill him! Kill him!
But it contained a minigame called Desert Bus, which is perhaps the ultimate example of player trolling. The aim of the mode is to drive a bus across the desert from Tucson, Arizona to Las Vegas in Nevada, an 8-hour journey, with no checkpoints in real time. What's more, although the road is straight, the bus constantly veers to the right to prevent players from just holding down a single button to accelerate. If the bus veers off the road, it's towed back to Tucson in real time again. Reaching Las Vegas scores you a single point, and you can score another if you choose to return to Tucson straight away. Bravo, Penn and Teller, bravo.
I wouldn't drink too much water if I were you. It's 200 miles to the next rest area. Desert bus.
Sometimes the simplest trolls are the best. Ghouls'n is a legendarily tough game, and to make matters worse, it works on a 2 hits and you're dead system. Getting through all 5 levels is tough, and when you reach the final boss and defeat him, the developer tells you to go back and do it all over again. Sorry. Many games have pulled this trick, including Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which asks you to go play through the whole game, again, upside down, to properly finish it. But Ghouls'n is so bastard hard to begin with that being asked to start again is the cruelest of jokes. A joke at the expense of you. The Assassin's Creed series has always played with the emotions of its fans. There's the giant squid Easter egg, a reference to the finger chopping in the original game, and a cheeky claim that Ezio invented the latte, all in Assassin's Creed 2.
A little bitter if you ask me. Just seems lacking somehow. I don't know, have you considered adding sugar maybe? Or latte?
However, it's Black Flag that trolls fans the hardest. During the Abstergo portions of the game, you find a list of possible locations and time periods for, quote, Abstergo projects, end quote. All previous game locations are listed, along with a bunch of other places and time periods that might just be the settings for future games. Given the fact that there is always rampant speculation before the announcement of each Assassin's Creed game, This is clearly developers poking fun at fans and conspiracy theorists. They're deliberately provoking debate here, but I am curious, where's Assassin's Creed gonna go after the French Revolution? Let's assume you made it past the age restriction system, which came in the form of answering trivia questions about subjects that children, and as it turned out, anyone living outside of North America, probably wouldn't know about. You were into Leisure Suit Larry proper. The first thing you could do is approach a prostitute and have sex with her. Doing so results in a game over. You caught a sexually transmitted disease, congratulations. There are loads of other cool opportunities to lose your life in Land of the Lounge Lizard. Crossing the road, a staple in most games, sees you getting run over by a taxi. Entering the wrong street sees you getting beaten to death by a thug. It's a cruel game that delights in mocking its players. Perhaps that's why I remember it so fondly. Well folks, there we have it, 10 games that do an amazing job of trolling their own players. We'd love to know what you think, so please leave us a comment, subscribe to our channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and be sure to check us out at GamesRadar.com.